Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Hi, welcome back to Friend Crush. I'm your host, Amber Akilla. This is my podcast where I talk about stuff and things, cute, chaotic, and critical thinking. I hope everyone's doing well. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, SoundCloud. The meme page is at friend.crush. Here we are in the business of being hot and having fun. Yeah, how is everyone? I'm currently at the time of recording looking to move apartments. Pray for me. It's been pretty dire so far, looking for a new place that's as good, if not better, well priced, good location. Last few times I've been out with my agent has not been fruitful, but the last 2 days I have hope again. He's been sending other apartments. I'm like, okay, pricing is decent, location is convenient, and layout possibly better than what I currently have. So maybe by the time this airs, I'll be living somewhere else. I almost gave up. I was thinking okay, fuck it. I'm just not going to move. I'm going to stay where I'm at, blah, blah, blah. If I can't find somewhere that's the same price or less, I don't see the point in paying more and moving. But now I have a new determination, but I'm also, I don't know, we'll see. I just want to properly decorate and really get involved in an apartment and get invested in properly living in Shanghai and settling in at least. Because first 2 years, it hasn't been 2 years yet, but we're coming up to it. I wanted to give myself space to just sort of explore the city, explore the opportunities. What am I doing with my life? What can I do? It's unclear still, but at least I feel like I've worked here and established a kind of network, and I have things that I'm working towards. So that is better than where I was at this time 2 years ago. This time 2 years ago, it's 2024, 2022. I hadn't even come back to Shanghai yet. Shanghai hadn't even gone into the hectic lockdown yet. I was literally just floating around, desperately trying to apply for a visa, emailing the visa office, what paperwork am I missing? What do I need? How do I get back to China? Help me. So yeah, it's crazy how life can change. Had a great day so far. Went to yoga, went to the wrong studio. There's 2 studios, and one of them I go to. The other one I don't go to anymore because I realized every time I go there I get lost, and the teachers kind of rotate between both. And usually I don't go to yoga on a Monday, but today I was fuck it, I haven't been to yoga in 2 or 3 weeks because of Chinese New Year. I need to stretch. Went to the wrong class, had a different teacher. My neck kind of hurts, but it's okay. I'll get over it. Had nice lunch with my friend. Thought I was going to quit coffee yesterday. Decided, fuck it, let's get a coffee. If I did actually decide to quit coffee today, I wouldn't have gotten a free coffee from all the money I've previously spent on coffee. So we'll try again tomorrow. I don't even know why I want to quit. Honestly, I feel a little bit cracked out right now that I think about it. So maybe that's why I should quit. Again, we'll update you when there's updates to be given. Anyway, today's topic is sprinkle, dating for money, my thoughts on Shera Seven, and just finances when it comes to dating. For the record, I'm not in a dating phase right now. I'm so happy being single. Not that I'm not open to dating if it makes sense, but I've maybe spoken about this before. I've definitely spoken to my therapist about it in terms of like how I feel like in previous relationships, I wasn't really listening to my gut instinct going into them. A part of me knew that I probably wasn't making the best decision, but the attention, the ego stroke, this is what everybody wants, being in a relationship. So maybe you should just be in a relationship too. But actually, I didn't want to be in a relationship, and I didn't want to be in a relationship with this person. I don't regret the experience because it is what it is. You did what you could with what you knew at the time. But now I'm just like, I just want to be intentional if I'm going to be in a relationship, because I know what I can give in a relationship and I don't want to have to gatekeep or hold back. So it needs to be like the right person, right situation for me to feel comfortable in being vulnerable in that way, Like, I don't want to half-ass dating because to me, no offense, but you can't put a relationship on your resume. And everyone has like different priorities in life. Some people, relationships are more important or fulfilling to them. Other people, working is more important to them. Other people, hobbies is more important to them. And for me, definitely working and like creating stuff, even if it is like unhinged videos on the internet or like a mix or like a DJ set or like a beat or music or whatever, like that is so much more fulfilling to me than dating. And I'm at peace with that now. If someone isn't like seriously tickling my fancy, I will not entertain it. And I used to not, like, it took me not being so stubborn to get this stubborn. So don't feel like, you still have an itch that needs to be scratched and you've got to not scratch it by all means. But for me, it's like, okay, cool. I'm done with the circus. I've had enough. I have more fun, like living my own life, not worrying about a man, not waiting for a text back, at least at this stage in my life. And if I'm posting about a boy, just know that it's an ad. Just know that I'm really serious about it, or at least I hope so. So yeah, that's like just a framing qualification for me. I have just like seen too much at this point to like settle or to lower my standards, Either we're together having more fun and slaying, mutually slaying, increasing each other's slay in a relationship, or we're not going to do that, And I've spoken about this on my Being Friends with Men, Being Friends with Boys voice memo episode. Like, now that I've nurtured healthy platonic relationships with men where there isn't this pressure or this like weird sexual undertone, overtone, are we dating, aren't we dating, are we going to sleep together, aren't we going to sleep together, it's like, cool, I can still enjoy the presence and the company of men without it being weird, and having like a spiritually oppressive presence in my life. So yeah, if I was going to actually date someone, it would have to be even better than hanging out with my guy friends, or even better than hanging out with my girlfriends, or even better than working and making money and having fun, And when I look back on the experiences that I've had, yeah, some of them were nice. And the experience was, important, but I probably would have had a better time focusing on myself and not thinking that like, okay, I don't even know what I was thinking. So anyway, I don't regret it. No shade to my exes. Maybe shade to some of them. Shade to my former self. I forgive my former self for not knowing better. And let's keep moving. So the thing about like online TikTok content about dating for money is that there's this undertone or this assumption that if you date for money, it's like a big gap in finances. Like, oh, this girl is just doing okay and she's got to date someone who's like 5 tax brackets above her. You know, like there needs to be this really big disparity in income if you're going to date for money, or if you're going to date at all. You know, I think a lot of that content can be misinterpreted as like, oh, you have to date someone that's doing significantly better than you financially. But for like Shera Seven's content, for example, also side note, my opinion on Shera Seven is that she slays and she's iconic and she's so necessary for where we're at culturally. Even if you don't agree with her, which is like the qualifier that everybody wants to put in front of speaking about a controversial like public figure or opinion leader, whatever. It's not about agreeing with her. It's about appreciating the role that she plays in setting an example for young women and being like a voice of reason. She's actually lived her life. She's in a long-term relationship. She's got what she's wanted. She got what she wanted, what she needed. And she can tell you how to get there. And you don't necessarily need to have the same goals as her. Your life doesn't have to unfold the same way that hers did. But knowing that there is a process, there is a mindset, is important. And even what she says about just your approach to dating, even if your goal is not the same as hers, that's important. There are not enough people in the public eye that have as much reach as Shera Seven does, being able to represent that message, you know. And also the thing with like, oh, okay, it's like so outdated, anti-feminist for her to say that women have to date men that have more money than them. That is a response to male incompetence and the lack of like progression that men collectively have made as women have been collectively progressing in their like education and their ability to be financially independent of men. You know, if women are going to be financially independent of men and no longer have to be confined to the household and have their job be unpaid labor, domestic duties and child rearing, then men also need to evolve. Did they learn collectively how to like manage a household, how to keep their sheets clean and their mattress off the ground, or how to like, you know, focus on their appearance being part of their self-worth the way that women have had to? I mean, in some cases, yes, but not like widespread enough. We're in a hot guy shortage if anyone's been looking around recently. I mean, at least where I've been looking. Sad. And yeah, that's a response. Like, are men collectively becoming significantly more emotionally aware than they were before, or better at intimacy than they were before? I think it's gotten worse as a result of like the porn industry and dating apps. You know, it's maybe not their fault that the environment has created this, but at the same time, it is their responsibility if so many of them are not able to have access or to experience the intimacy that they crave and to learn how to have the tools or the awareness to unlearn like toxic thought patterns and behaviors. You know, like they haven't done that. So that's why women like Shera Seven say, if you aren't dating to at least better your financial position, then don't date at all. It's a waste of time, because if he is not able to fulfill you emotionally, then he has to fulfill you somehow. You can't delude yourself into thinking that, oh, the illusion of love is just enough. You know, most of the time, stingy men that are stingy with money are stingy with their love as well. You know, people in general that are stingy with their money, not in terms of how much they make, but their generosity relative to how much they make. If they have a limited mindset or a fixed mindset, your experience of intimacy with them is going to be very limited. You know what I mean? So I think like my point in this episode is not that you necessarily have to date for money. Like I don't even really know what my dating goals are. That's why I'm not dating, because I don't want to date for marriage right now. I don't foresee me getting married like in the near future. Not that I'm not open to marriage if it seems like the right situation, but I'm not seeking that. Okay, like it's not a goal of mine. I have other goals unrelated to romance that I want to work towards, or things that I want to achieve. That's my priority right now. So, and I know like what I need to do to achieve those goals. That's like something that's clearer in my vision for my future and for myself than a relationship. And for people where you have a clearer vision of the type of relationship you want, because that is a priority for you, then date with that intention in mind. Don't just like fuck around, you know? I mean, when you're younger, by all means, or if you're in your fuck around and find out phase when it comes to love and experimenting with your sexuality or just experimenting in general, stay safe, etc. But if you're over that, don't feel like you have to date just because that's what people do. You know, if it doesn't feel authentic to you, that's okay, you know? It's okay to take a break and like literally do anything else. Like to me, dating and prioritizing being in a relationship is just one of literally millions of options available to you in terms of where you focus your energy at any given time in your life. But for some reason, it's made to seem like just one of two options. But I don't think that that's the case, you know. Open your mind to the possibility of having like experiences facilitated by something other than dating, and for women especially, by something other than a man. Like, are you meeting groundbreakingly interesting, multifaceted men these days? I mean, I don't know.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Yeah. No shade to the men that I love, but I don't know. Like, yeah. I just don't think, at least none of the men, yeah, I'm not going to get into it. But basically, I think that even if you don't have a goal when it comes to dating, I think that something to keep in mind when you are dating is you don't have to date for money, like date significantly outside of your tax bracket, but at least date in a way that is maintaining or improving your financial situation, okay? It doesn't have to be as direct as, oh, he's paying your bills, or, oh, he's giving you an allowance. Like, I can totally understand why some women are not comfortable with that. Like, for some people, that makes sense for them. For other people, not so much, and that's okay. There's room for both. But at least it's like you're dating and your ability to make money stays the same or gets better. Your ambition stays the same or gets stronger or is like further supported, not it getting worse. Like, it's anti-feminist against yourself to date and then be in a worse position than you were before you were dating, in my opinion, because feminism is women being able to be empowered, men being able to be empowered in the face of patriarchy. It's a patriarchy, and women have to work now, firstly, and work for less compensation than men, work harder as well to prove themselves. Like, the odds are constantly stacked against you. The fact that you have a job and you have an education is already something that most women in history did not have access to. And men, I mean, I don't see the stakes getting any higher for them most of the time, or them even bothering to put in the work to meet any increased stakes. And now he's mooching off you. It's a patriarchy. The world is designed for him. If he is not able to thrive in an environment designed for him, then that is a failure to thrive. I'm sorry. You have inherent value as a person regardless, but do you deserve? I mean, maybe not deserve, but like, what are you bringing to the table, brother? At least if he's not making as much as you, that's okay. But his ability to emotionally support you, to, you know, take care of things for you so that you don't have to, so that you can focus on making money and staying in the same or better financial position, then that's okay, right? And he also needs to be secure in his financial position, because that's the problem. It's not how much money he makes, it's his relationship with how much money he makes. Does he feel secure in it or not? And it's the insecurity that a guy has with his financial position or his career or his status that is poison in a romantic relationship. Love does not thrive in a limited mindset, in a broke mindset. Love cannot thrive in soil that is not fertile, okay? If his mindset is not abundant and not generous, your love will die, okay? It will be challenged in ways that it just doesn't need to. Why? Why do you need to suffer? Like, it's fine. I get it. You're going to date the broke guy with the good D or whatever. But know that when it's over, remember this episode and learn your lesson, okay? Because it's not worth it. I've seen the, broke mindset guy versus abundant mindset girl dynamic play out in so many different contexts, okay? In like relationships when people are young, in relationships when they're, in their late 20s, early 30s, in relationships in their 40s, in people's 50s. The dynamic is the same. The details don't matter, okay? If you are dating a guy who does not out-earn you, he needs to at least be secure in that and contribute to the relationship so that you are not taking financial L's as a woman in that relationship. Like, yes, wouldn't it be nice if we lived in a society that didn't see gender and where everyone was paid equally? But that's not the society that we live in. And you cannot act on this like fake future illusion thinking that doing that is like dismantling what we currently have. You and your partner are better positioned to deconstruct the system as it is when you recognize it and act accordingly. And then you can make intentional choices to act outside of it. You know what I mean? Like, the system has not been deconstructed. It will not be deconstructed by you being fucking delusional. And letting a man bamboozle you into thinking that, oh, it's okay for you to financially support him while he sits on his ass and does absolutely nothing. And then now you're in a worse financial position than you were when you started and he's just doing nothing. Like, no, okay? And you know what? For some people, maybe their destiny is to support a man. I get it. No judgment. Who knows? That could be me. I might just be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm rich and I'm bored and I can house this little sugar baby to entertain me, whatever. But I wouldn't do it if it put me in a emotionally and financially worse situation than I was, okay? The emotional part is really important. Maybe you don't mind with the finances, okay? I think the guys eventually does mind because, like, male self-worth and material worth are so deeply intertwined. I don't know if it's genetic, I don't know if it's social, but generally it runs very deep. And like, if it doesn't, if he has no like will to produce or like create or construct, it's like, well then what are you attracted to? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think there are some girls out there that are literally like subsidizing their boyfriends' lives, and maybe for them, like the emotional support that the boy provides in terms of like them feeling less alone, them having someone to come home to, blah, 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 like that's enough for them. Me personally, I love living by myself, and I feel like even if I was in a long-term relationship, we would have to have separate housing, or at least big enough housing where we have separate rooms and then we can like have sleepovers, but like not one bedroom, and definitely separate bathrooms. And I'm adamant about maintaining that lifestyle. Like, sorry. But other people maybe, sleeping in the same bed every day, seeing each other every day, talking every day works for them. But, I think that part of being able to deconstruct like gender stereotypes or whatever societal expectations is recognizing what's on offer and then choosing to do something different that is as or if not more empowering. Okay, so like it doesn't make sense for you to date in a way that is financially or emotionally burdensome in accordance with an ideal such as, oh, there is gender equality, okay, you're suffering now and you're suffering unnecessarily for an imaginary future, okay? But if you're making a decision that's like, okay, I'm empowered, I feel better about living separately to my long-term partner despite the societal expectation that we do, both of us feel empowered in that decision, that's different, okay? Because the intention and the outcome is better than what's on offer versus the intention and the outcome is still shit, even though it's in service of the illusion of something better, it's still shit now. Does that make sense? So I just feel like it's really important to protect your interests when you get into relationships with anyone, but especially as a woman getting into a relationship with a man, because men do not pursue relationships that they do not think will benefit them, at least like in a tangible way. Like, I'm sorry, but women sometimes are way too delulu in terms of what they see as potential in a person or a situation, because we, just have too much creative energy that doesn't have healthy outlets, I think, a lot of the time, or we're not encouraged to have multiple outlets for our creative energy and our femininity. So it all gets invested into the illusion of a relationship, projected onto a man who is barely even a man to begin with, like not properly dressed, not properly groomed, full of shit and nonsense, no money, like the hell. So sometimes it's like the more basic and the more like lackluster the packaging of a man, the more insane the delusion that you'll project onto him. But my point is that men will not hang around you if it doesn't benefit them in some way, like in a tangible way, as in it strokes their ego, it gives them status with their boys, being like, I've got a girlfriend, or I've got this girl obsessed with me, or they have access to your body, or they have access to your like emotional labor. The male need, or the male spectrum of like ability to extend emotional labor and receive it is much smaller than a woman's, I think. So sometimes you don't even realize as a woman that just being in your presence benefits him, okay? The energy and the makeup of a man and a woman are different for a reason. And I feel like denial of this like basic inherent biology is kind of insane. It's not that there aren't nuances to this, but generally speaking, like one has a vagina, the other has a penis. Like it's different. Your hormone makeup is different. You're still human, but you need to recognize that. And then your conditioning is different too, sometimes in line with or going against biology. So for men, it's like, why would they hang out with you if it didn't benefit them? They have no incentive to do that. It doesn't make sense for a man to do that. Of course, there are exceptions where, they're going against their better interest because they're really attached to a woman or a woman has manipulated them. I'm not like discrediting that, but I'm just saying, like, if you're in a situation where he is benefiting from you, ask yourself, what do you benefit from this situation? And is it better or worse emotionally and financially than if you were single? That's why it's important to spend time single too, just so that you know who you are and what you are bringing to a man's life. How does the room change? How does the vibe change when you're interacting with a man in any capacity versus when you're by yourself? Like for me, I'm alone. I can be neutral. I can be having a good time. I can be having a bad time. But I know when I'm in the presence of men, their mood is elevated, okay? Contrary to the hate comments I receive from random people who I'll literally never meet in my whole life and who have projected all their insecurities onto squares on their phone. I enjoy the company of the men that I know. We mutually enjoy each other's company. We have a laugh. We have a good time. So I know the value of my presence with a man who I'm not even sleeping with Can you imagine if I was sleeping with him? And that's something that I think all women need to get in touch with if they want to have, like, you know, if they want to have, firstly, standards, if they want to enjoy their life without feeling like their desirability and their like value is determined by male validation alone, male attention alone. Male attention is so cheap. Did you not know? Have you not realized? Like, it really doesn't take much to get them riled up over literally anything, whether it's something positive or negative about you, you know? Sending you DMs, not even addressing you by your name, swiping through like hundreds of girls on a dating app, like, you know, they'll swipe on anyone, basically. So what is the value in that for most of them? You know, I respect the men that are like a little pickier, that have like a preference. You can't, again, like, it doesn't make sense to be like, oh, they should be preferenceless, they should be open to all types of women. No, they should have a type. Or not a type, they should have a preference, at least in like the values of the women that they can date. And most of them, you know, men are pigs. They also have like a physical preference too. So don't fight it. Men are the way that they are. You need to psyop them and incept them into becoming better, usually through light bullying. But male validation is so cheap. Make sure that men are investing something into being in your life, okay? Femininity is sacred. Woman is sacred. She's been alienated from the divine by men and some other women gaslighting us into thinking like, I have to chase. I'm not chasing shit. Least of all, a man. And it's not that you don't have delulu moments and you don't feel like a little bit desperate sometimes, or you don't feel lonely, or you don't wish that he would, even though he's not. That's okay. Process those feelings, lean into it. But remember, nobody gives you a prize for suffering for male attention, suffering for a relationship. You can't put that on a resume. Because at the end of the day, you can make all the dumbest decisions that you want. You could be the victim regardless. No one can do anything about that when it's over other than you, okay? And nobody's going to care, and it doesn't even matter if people do care, because it doesn't change the fact that you're going to have to be the one to pick up the pieces, you know? Like, it's unfortunate when we are victimized, but at the end of the day, it's still our responsibility to get over it regardless of what the situation is. So if you're, like, gonna be potentially at risk of being victimized, then pick a struggle. You know, the struggle of being brave and moving on from something that is not in alignment with what you want, whatever your dating goals are, or getting yourself into a mess and setting yourself back years by being in a situationship when you really want commitment. Setting yourself back years, however many tens, hundreds, thousands of dollars, even if it's $10, okay, by dating someone who has a limited mindset when it comes to money and is expecting you to financially and emotionally provide for them while they do fucking nothing, okay? So always consider, what are your best interests? Only you can know what that is. I did this analogy, like, you go to a restaurant, you tell them you want rice. It's a noodle shop, okay? They don't fucking have rice. They tell you, sorry, we only have noodles. And you're like, but I want rice. And like, well, okay, well, you can have noodles or you can leave. And instead of leaving so that you can have rice, you stay and you eat noodles. Okay, whose fault is it that you ate the noodles? It's yours. You had an allergic reaction, or you didn't like it, you didn't feel satisfied. That's on you, babes. You wanted rice. You knew you wanted rice, but you still settled for noodles. And now nobody cares because it was your decision. And that's the same thing when you have a goal for dating, which I think is important for the most part, even if it is just to have fun. You tell a guy, I just want to have fun. He goes, sorry, this is going to be a relationship. Okay, now you're in a fucking relationship against your will. He told you, or he showed you that's what he wanted, and you let yourself get into this situation. No one's going to feel sorry for you. Okay, maybe if they do feel sorry for you, what difference does that even make? You know, you go to a guy, you tell him, I want a relationship, and he goes, sorry, friends with benefits only. And you're like, oh, well, maybe being in a relationship isn't that important to me and I can just be friends with benefits, even though I know that I get attached after I'm physically intimate with someone, even though I know that what I really want is a relationship. But I'm just going to be in this situationship anyway. Nobody's going to care if you fucked it. Okay? At a certain point in our lives, we have to take responsibility for our actions. And the same thing applies to guys. Like, okay, the problem is when it's a dude with a girl, and also like some narcissistic girls, they get off on the power dynamic between being able to gatekeep you from something that you want and still manipulating you to stay. Like some people get off on that dynamic. Like, oh, I know that they want a relationship and I could give that to them, but I'm not going to because I like the power that I feel in them wanting me more than I want them. That's real, okay? And a lot of girls do this to string guys on when they're bored and they don't have anyone they actually like. So it's not really about like a good versus bad person thing. It's just a human thing. I'm sure there were times in my life where I entertained attention from someone because I liked the attention, knowing that they wanted more from me and that I wasn't ever going to give that to them. But I've gotten older now and I don't really entertain that kind of attention because it's meaningless. It has absolutely no value. It doesn't make my life better because it's feeding into my pride and my ego, not into my sense of joy or happiness, which comes from genuine and authentic connection. So, like, what is your goal? To be hot and have fun or to be ugly and sad? Think about it, Some people, they like being ugly and sad. You don't like being ugly and sad? Figure out how you can be hot and have fun, It doesn't really matter why a guy will or won't, the excuses that he makes, if at the end of the day you feel depleted, if you're in a financially or emotionally worse position than you were before you met him or before you started dating, If you're friends with guys, it's much easier to maintain healthy boundaries and just enjoy each other's company and like the memes. But yeah, you don't want to get involved with someone who just, it's their mindset more so than it is the material value of what they have, okay? But most of the time, there is a connection between, like, the material status and the mindset towards it. But of course, you can have guys that are more evolved and like, okay, I don't make as much money as her, but I can contribute in these ways, and that makes me feel empowered, and I'm happy to empower and support her. And for women, it's like, okay, I don't make as much money as him, but I'm taking on all these responsibilities to facilitate him making the same, if not more money. Like a man would not keep you around if that wasn't the case. And only a stupid man would put himself in a financially worse position by being with a woman that he can't afford or feeling entitled to access to a woman that he can't afford. Okay? Failure to thrive, much like basic survival skill. So, yeah, don't ever let a guy shame you into protecting your financial interests when it comes to getting involved with men. The only reason why they don't want you to protect it is because they don't have enough, they don't think they have enough, and they need access to a woman's to make themselves feel better or to give them, like, a sense of power that is not earned, okay? Don't let these boys bamboozle you. It's not to say that there aren't men out there that have evolved and are able to contribute domestically, emotionally, financially, in ways that are unconventional. That's real. But I'm talking about when that is not the case and you're trying to delude yourself into continuing something or pursuing something that is only going to harm you emotionally and financially. And sometimes you just have to go through it to realize. But yeah, don't give a man money. Do not pay for his bills unless he is contributing equally in some other way to your life. It doesn't have to be that he's got to pay for everything, that you have to be subsidized, but at least protect your financial interest. I think that for a lot of women at this point, it's like they don't need to have their shit paid for. They don't really mind. as long as they're not worse off than they were single. That's better than being worse off. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, another thing that Shera Seven says is, if you like working, keep working. And when you don't want to work anymore, start looking for a man that has money and date him, you know? I don't really know what my long-term goal is when it comes to romance, as I said. So I'm just focusing on the other things that I enjoy, and assessing and vetting potential romantic partners as I go. Because, like, as soon as you start dating them, like, they're always looking for someone to be emotionally intimate with. A lot of them lack, you know, emotional intimacy in their friendships or in their other relationships. So a girlfriend is the only place that they can do that. But for a woman, if you're able to do this in other ways, why am I going to listen to a man's problems? I've got my own, okay? If it's in a way that's making it more difficult for me to thrive independently as a woman. The most feminist thing that a man can do is be a supportive partner and not drag her down, okay? Most men are failing the test. But that's okay. We love them in our own special way. And yeah, you don't have to date like 5 tax brackets above you. Just don't let your own tax bracket go down as a result of your relationship, okay? Whether that's directly because you're giving him money that you can't afford to, or indirectly because being with him and being around someone with a fixed mindset, if you have an abundant one, or being around someone who's mopey and not able to achieve the goals that they want to achieve in their own life, so then they try to make you feel bad about the goals that you're actually able to achieve, despite the fact that it's much harder for you in society and the way that the world is like structured for you to do so. And now you're not as effective at your job because you're worried about hurting your boyfriend's feelings because you slay too hard. Like, hello, that is just like not the vibe at all. Not hot, not fun. Don't ever apologize for slaying, okay? Least of all to a man. You need to be setting a good example for them. That's the thing that they struggle with the most. How many straight men have you seen slay recently? Please. How many women have you seen slay recently? Slay is infinite. The limit does not exist when it comes to women slaying, but for men it's much harder because they've been conditioned out of slaying. They've been conditioned out of it. It's not their fault, but it is their responsibility. It's not your responsibility. You focus on slaying. Either he is inspired by that and wants to match it and wants to support you, whether it's emotionally or financially, in a same or upward trajectory, or he's not the man for you in any capacity, whether that's work, whether that is friendship, whether that is love. Because even when I've worked with men who are not equally, if not more capable than me, it's been a fucking mess. You know, you try to help a guy that you think, oh, you know, like it would be great for him to learn how to do this. I can facilitate that for him. He said he's interested in it. And then he fumbles it because he's threatened by a woman who has authority over him. He feels insecure about his position because he's not as talented as he sold himself to be, or he's realizing that he's not as capable as he wanted to believe that he was. And now you're doing 2 people's work when you could just be doing 1, or you could be doing 2 people's work and getting paid for 2 instead of doing 2 people's work and only getting paid for 1. You know? Think carefully. Ask me how I know. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Protect your financial interests. Protect your emotional energy, okay? It's sacred and it is valuable. It is 10 times more valuable than a man's, okay? Just because you only get praised for it from a 10-to-1 ratio, that doesn't mean that they don't know. The reason why they're constantly trying to convince you out of it and out of seeing your worth is because if you really saw it, then you would also see that you were out of their league. Okay, it took me such a long time to realize that, and honestly, as I'm saying it, I'm like, oh, true. If you really knew how valuable or how much you have to offer, then they're afraid that you would no longer look in their direction. And that may or may not be true, you know? Like, you can see their value, you overestimate their value as well. If only they could see how much potential you see in them. But they can't see that because it's a projection of your own potential onto them, okay? Other people's, like, understanding of their own potential is often misaligned with how other people see it, right? Because it can only be a projection of you and the potential you see for yourself or anyone onto them. If they can't project that far, then that's going to be very uncomfortable for them, on top of the fact that they're trying to force you to underestimate yourself so that if you actually estimated yourself accurately, you might realize that you've overestimated them and underestimated yourself. Wow, the mindfuck is so real. Anyway, I've stopped making sense. Thank you for listening. Follow me on all the things. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Vlogs and random Q&A videos coming soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love you lots. Stay hot and having fun. Send me your feedback, thoughts and questions, suggestions. Drink lots of water. Tell your friends and family that you love them. Go be a better person. Speak soon. Bye.